think the operative phrase for today would be wishful thinking. Hey guys, MasakoX here. Today we return to the journey of quite possibly one of Vegeta's more simple minions. However, if you give this big lug the chance to really develop and become his own character, I mean for once, other than just being a big lackey who is big and tough and silly, then you might realise there's more to this guy than you might have possibly ever thought. We may have given Raditz more of a time to shine because he only got 5 episodes in the main series, but I think it's only fair that we should look at Vegeta's other minion and really see what he could do. What made him tick? What made him so absolutely handsome and deserving to be having a very precious modelling career? What might have happened had the likes of Nappa turned good? Decades after the likes of Vegeta condemned the man to just being completely useless and not worth his time or even being alive, Nappa has come on leaps and bounds and proved that he's not just a mid-class warrior of the Saiyan race. He's not there just to do a thankless job of babysitting the Prince of all Saiyans, no. He was a very worthy warrior whose job was to babysit Goku's kids. Granted, that may not sound like much of a difference in the grand scheme of things, but if you think about it, he has total freedom of whatever he wants to do, he can just roam around Earth however he pleases, and oh yeah, he can actually become a person rather than just a pure fighter like pretty much every other Saiyan out there. Even though romance hasn't befallen the likes of Nappa in his time, his passion for gardening, which all came about due to his passion for actually raising Cybermen, that was able to blossom, and he even got the soft spot for the likes of Goten, being the absolute best uncle out there if you're a follower of this series. He may not have a son, but with Goten, it's close enough. In the last part, we came to terms with a very big character arc for Nappa, something that could really be truly described as closing the chapter of his book. In fact, maybe almost the whole book. Forgiving Vegeta for what he did to him all those years ago. Vegeta may not be nearly as strong as what Nappa is today, but there's something about the prince that still exerts some kind of insecurity in the big guy. All of those years of just being told that he is inferior, it still resonates with him in some way. It took Nappa a lot of guts to actually say no to Vegeta and to tell him what to do. All of these years of realizing who he is and that he can be so much more, and even much more than what the prince can be, it just opened his eyes. The gap from when Vegeta basically condemned him to when he actually challenged Beerus, Nappa, big berserker Nappa, showing Beerus what for, that's the god of destruction. That's a big deal. Hey Vegeta, did you go to toe with Beerus? I don't think so. With that bugbear out of the way, this is the dawning of the Age of Nappa, and really showing what he can do, and Vegeta now having to play second fiddle in comparison to his former minion. Nappa is now responsible for Vegeta, making sure that he doesn't do anything stupid. That was kind of the arrangement as it was when they was a kid. I guess it's just, you know, full circle. Vegeta isn't quite sure what to make of this. He was brought back to life, but what kind of life is this, really? Basically, he's having to bow his head to the likes of Nappa. He's having to listen to all of these orders and listening to little brats who are probably stronger than him too. What has this world come to? After the climactic tussle with the likes of Beerus, the god of destruction, Earth has once again returned to a moment of peace. Everything is absolutely fine. Thanks to Nappa's intervention, the Son family never had any kind of financial trouble because, remember at the beginning of Super, they were kind of running low on money, then they basically got a handout from Mr. Satan? Nah, none of that happens. That means that Goku can go and train however long he wants. Chi-Chi doesn't really care. Gohan, having had his massive climactic tussle with Nappa back in the Buu saga, has really kind of taken to this new life that he's actually carved out for himself. He had managed to find a good work-life balance, much more so than he did in the original series. And I know I've gone on about this in many other reviews of Super and in my discussion videos, but it has to be said. That's what needed to happen and we didn't really get it. And okay, Gohan may be much stronger than he is in the original series, but he is still a lovable dork. He's still married to Videl, and they still have Pan. And at this point in the story, Pan is absolutely adorable. And don't think Videl's just become the simple housewife. Oh, no, 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 no. Because Goten is much more confident and much more willing to stick his nose in when he shouldn't. But it does result in him joining Gohan and Videl in fighting crime with the likes of the mighty Saiya Squad. The Saiya Squad aren't alone though. They are backed up with the girl behind the desk, as it were, in the form of Bra. Not just Bulma, Bra. Basically, her job is to supply them weekly with brand new gadgets. And maybe less regularly brand new outfits, something that Bulma doesn't even know about. That's what she did with her allowance. The trio became so famous that they received a medal from Mr. Satan and, ultimately, were given the keys to West City. Now, okay, yeah, Mr. Satan knows the identity of the Great Saiyan Squad, but, you know, this keeps up appearances, making sure that nobody knows, and, you know, he just plays dumb. But this is Mr. Satan, so that's not exactly hard. Nappa, meanwhile, continues to keep his promise and guard Vegeta, while of course making sure that he can keep up with the other Saiyans. Now this is something that I don't think many people have actually talked about, because this is something that we've not really had a chance to explore. Aging of Saiyans. Nappa is quite a lot older than the rest of the Saiyans around him, and Vegeta didn't age at all, so basically he's still in his 20s. And Nappa knows that he won't be at his peak for much longer. If you're not aware, Saiyans basically stay the same, roughly, from between the ages of 18 and 80. Because remember, Goku shot right up, that's now him in his prime, and he will stay pretty much like that until he's 80, and then he will rapidly age. Nappa, at the point of Resurrection F in the story, he is about 70, because when we first see him in the Saiyan Saga around age 762, he's about approximately 50 years old, although he doesn't look it. This is something we've really not touched upon in a narrative way, old Saiyans. The closest that we're going to be getting with is in the upcoming Broly movie, where we see the likes of Paragus, who is now experiencing that aging process in some way. We don't know what age he is exactly. I mean, he could be at least 80, he could be near 80. It's just something to keep in mind is all. But for now though, he does have the advantage over Vegeta, but again, that's not exactly hard. But speaking of the prince, this prince is much more, in a way, pessimistic and much more fatalistic. He has all these other forms, including becoming, the legendary Super Saiyan! And then Nappa's just like, Vegeta, you have got so much catching up to do. But at the same time, it does embolden Vegeta, thinking, well, if Nappa can do it, then I, the Prince of all Saiyans, can do it too. But I think all of this new change in his personality has meant that Vegeta is much more cunning than he is in the original story. He is more willing to just stay in the background, bide his time, slowly climb the ladder until then he can actually get one over everyone else and reassert his dominance. And because of this new outlook on life, and then agreeably training with Nappa and Goku and everyone else, he does sure enough eventually unlock the power of Super Saiyan. At this point in the story, Nappa has kind of grown out of being like childish or immature, or being really like Vegeta. But there's just something of having the prince around that kind of brings back the old Nappa in some way. You know when you hang out with someone from your childhood and you haven't seen them for ages, you kind of almost revert back to the way you were before? It's kind of like that. To make ends meet, and to demonstrate how much Vegeta has now become trusted with the group with his new outlook on life, you know, it's working out, he is then given the role of being a bodyguard / security guard at Capsule Corp. At least now Vegeta can get some time to himself when he's off duty and be able to train even more. So at least now he doesn't have to just be some kind of dog's body. However, unexpectedly, he develops some kind of weird friendship with Bra. I think it's just because, you know, she's just a young kid, probably trying to find inspiration for the Great Saiyan Squad, just wandering around the corridors at night. They obviously come across each other, they chat, and, you know, there's some kind of bond forming. Much to Vegeta's chagrin, it develops to the point where Bra ultimately calls him Uncle Veggie. But Vegeta does remember his Saiyan protocol of being a monarch or a prince, so he will respect and not really lash out at anyone who's a girl or a woman. Yeah, he remembers that standard, and also he's trying to not be aggressive and, you know, try and toe the line so he can get what he wants in the end. Meanwhile, very much like in the original story, Whis has become a common house guest at Capsule Corp, entertaining the Z-Fighters many times, and of course, eating lots and lots of food, because that's what Whis does. So you're probably going to be asking, okay, who trains with Goku? Who's it, Nappa? Not initially. It's actually Gohan that goes with Goku. They go off to Beerus' planet to train together, and this is something that Vegeta absolutely resents with a passion. But at this point in the story, he's barely just gotten the Super Saiyan power. He is in no position to question the status quo. And also, he's still kind of scared of Beerus, quite apprehensive there. Sometimes Nappa gets to come along with Goku and Gohan as well, even though he does think it's a bit of a fruitless task, because again, with his age, something he doesn't really talk about, as well as the thinking that he's kind of peaked already with the Berserker form. Yeah, he does have that power, but it took him years just to be able to control it, and in terms of the actual power emitting, it didn't really progress that as much as he'd hoped. And it was only something he'd like to use as a last resort when it came to Beerus, who was about to really kind of annihilate the planet. But Whis doesn't find this a problem at all. This is quite a quaint issue. He teaches Nappa the best way to be able to control it almost instantaneously. You know how Whis is basically a deus ex machina? This is just another case of that. He is slowly able to fully control the power, much like how Kale did really rapidly in the Tournament of Power. But even Nappa knows that he does have this power now to its fullest, but this is pretty much the last power boost that he can truly rely on that he'll ever get. Gohan is very quick to dismiss this, thinking that Nappa can achieve anything. He's proved that time and time again, that he can grow stronger than he thinks he can. But Nappa just waves this off, being completely content for once. It's okay, Gohan. I think I'm done. This is like the last hurrah. I'm just really happy I get to train with you guys one last time. I'm proud of you, Gohan. I'm not crying, you are! When the other Saiyans are busy training in their Super Saiyan God and Blue forms, Nappa tends to Beerus' garden. This is some kind of like stress reliever for the guy, and something that Beerus appreciates because no one else was doing it, but Nappa sees it as a way of actually training his mental fortitude, like we said. Vegeta knows that they're making progress. Kakarot, his son, and now Nappa come back stronger every single time they return from Beerus' planet. Every single time he just realizes that he is years behind them. There is no way he can catch up at this rate. The only hope for him now that he's realized are the Dragon Balls. And thanks to his brand new security clearance with his new job, he can pretty much roam anywhere in Capsule Corp. So with this newfound freedom, he gathers the Dragon Radar and leaves Capsule Corp seeking out the Dragon Balls. This is the way he justifies it. It's not cheating in his book. This is just leveling the playing field so everyone can see how truly good he is when everything is equal and even. Vegeta then discovers that the Pilaf gang are looking for the balls as well. In fact, when the gang finally gather the balls, both Vegeta and the Pilaf gang are now arguing about who should get the first wish. And yes, Kami did upgrade Shenron because of all the times that the Z Fighters relied on it. You know, he's also stronger, so he can do that. But amidst all this, Sorbet and Tagoma of the Frieza Force, they gather the Dragon Balls right under their noses, and you know where we're going here. They use them to revive Frieza and King Cold. And that's where we're gonna leave things for now. So what do you guys think? Did you find this cliffhanger quite compelling? Do you think Nappa will be able to do anything against Golden Frieza? Leave a comment below and let's get this discussion going. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video. Until the next one, be sure to like and subscribe. Catch you later!